it. I'd take 20% and I'd go in there and do that. So we have that. So what I would do is I would go through the whole image and do that to certain spots. Frankly, I think it would be better to do a copy shot. It's a lot less work and a lot less frustration. Any other questions? When you're working in Photoshop or in your photo editing program, whatever it is, the first thing you want to do is, even if it's, whether it comes from your camera or you scan it, the first thing you want to do is duplicate that background layer. Because then you can do this. See, I can turn it off and on, off and on. I can look at it quick. I can go back, fix my changes, keep everything in layers, and save it in the Photoshop format or in the TIFF layered format. Then do your color correction. In the color correction, every picture needs it. Every picture needs it. Let's look at this picture. And I am not, okay, right here. Okay, so this one. So this one's a little flat, apparently so. Now, one problem is this picture is not cut evenly, and I'm scared about cropping it. The reason being that I could make a nice straight crop, but I'm losing something. I'm losing some detail. All right, this is a bug here. Okay, let's try it again. I just cropped the head of the statue off. Look at that statue back there. So I can set my crop boundary. But if I pull it to the top, I have this. So when in doubt, I say leave a little space on the edge, especially when it comes to a family photo. You don't want to change too much in a family photo, because this is documentary. This is a documentary of a real event that happened. This is not anything staged. So I say don't crop that stuff to lose it. But watch this, a real simple color correction. We can jump into levels as well. Oh, and I had converted this to grayscale, right? So let me undo that. Good. So get rid of that black and white layer for now. So we'll go to levels. Red, bring the sliders to the edge. Now some of this histogram is detecting the white area. So one way to overcome that, because we don't want to base our correction off of a histogram that's reading the area that's not cropped. So in that case, I choose what's called the rectangular marquee. Now I'm being a purist in some sense, but you know, this is a camera club and I think you should be a purist as well. All right, now I'm not cropping, I'm only telling Photoshop, pay attention to what's outside, what's inside the selected area. And I think our histogram will look a little more realistic. Yes. Yeah. See, before it had those spikes at the edges. That's the red channel. That's the green channel. Now you can do this in Elements. Elements has this functionality. All right. And turn it off, on. Now it looks real dark to you up there, but it's much better over here. And then we can move what's called Sorry, I should have done that in the composite channel. When you go to RGB, that's where you adjust the midtones. So right up here, remember we were working in the individual channels? Let's go to RGB. Let's make our midtone adjustment to brighten it up. So here we have before, after. Now I got the color correction, and you notice on the layers palette my color correction is in its own layer. Now you see over here where this hard edge where it's not color corrected. No problem. Now I select all and I hit the delete key on my keyboard. Of course, making sure that up here this levels adjustment layer is highlighted in the layers palette. And I hit delete. And then that expands the correction to the entire image through what's called the layer mask. This is a technical thing. After I do this, I start cleaning it up as far as the spots go. That's where I got to definitely duplicate that background layer. Can't forget to do that. It'd be good to save it at this point as a different file name. How many of you have used a healing brush? Great, so you're familiar. Healing brush is really nice. And you can, it's just like, it's a really nice, it's like a power tool clone stamp. And you see I'm getting rid of these scratches. Now, these scratches, there's a whole lot of them in a lot of spots. So, how many of you have played around with dust and scratches, the filter? Well, let me show you. It's a pretty nice tool. This is also an element. Noise, I'm sorry, filter, noise, dust and scratches. Now I'm checking and unchecking preview. I hope you can see it. Yeah, you can. So let's move the radius up. As you see, it gets rid of the spots, right? But it also gets rid of important detail. Basically blurs it or smudges it. Doesn't look so nice. So after you get the radius that you like, you say, well, I like a radius of 3, but I think it's way too soft. Well, that's when you go to the threshold. Now you go to the threshold to get back some detail, especially grain. Now, let me go to 5. Let's see. So if you look, okay, before, after. Before, after. If you look, if you look at her cheek, we've eliminated the spots, but we have maintained some of that detail, right? Some of that grain. And that's important to keep. That's why you need to understand the threshold. So remember, set your radius, then set your threshold. And it's good to start at 0 for both of them until you're comfortable enough where you know what you're doing. And you're like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. Like when I see a radius of 3 and 5, I kind of know what I'm going to get. But if it's all a guess for you, always start at 0. Move your radius, then your threshold. Hit OK. And I've gotten rid of almost all the spots. Now we've lost some detail up here in her bonnet. Okay? But it's certainly a lot better. I'm still going to have to go in and get some of these areas here. But look at that. Before, after. Before, after. Not bad. So now that I've done that, now I would print it. How many of you all print your own pictures at home? Raise your hand. A lot of you. Okay. Yeah, I gave up doing that years ago. But at this point, this is where you start printing. So you print a sample of it, see how it looks, and you can tweak your color again. So you get your print looking just the way you want it to look. And that's pretty much it. If you follow that workflow that I gave you with every image, I mean, there's some more things and more details to deal with, but generally, that's how you should do it. I think you'll be less frustrated at times when you are stuck on a problem. Any other questions? No questions? Come on, I think you're being shy. Something I said that just went over your head. Ask. Yes, in the back.
You leave the edges uneven?
Oh, do I leave the edges on?